communications like a satellite through my blue double terminated appetite, cleansing emotions and heart's devotion with the malachite, electrify, magnetize with the magnetite, off the chain, renew my brain, magnesite, energize the blood, protect the aura with the hematite, talk to angels with the phenakite and pedalite, petrified wood could take us to the highest heights, balance all chakras with the blue kyanite, explosive kind of light, we blew the dynamite, I annihilate beings like selenite, crown chakra, third eye sight with tanzanite, Minnesota pipestone, chief pastor pipe, at peace, we communicate easy with azurite, smoking THC crystals, get stoned on edibles, collecting all types of gemstones and minerals, green is all I need, aventurine, jade and emerald, shungite water is a...
Hello, everybody. Grand day. And thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of this first episode of this brand new journey that myself, Marcus ChristoLight, and our brother Yuuga are embarking upon with you, called Ascension Stones. Now, Ascension Stones is a project that Yuuga actually originally created on his own, and he started embarking upon, and then I later on helped him with developing and editing, and now we came together and we felt called to start bringing this crystal knowledge as well as tangible and holistic ways of integrating crystals into your everyday life. And this will help you for your mental, emotional, physical health, as well as other aspects of life such as manifestation, grounding, ascension, as well as healing wounds, being able to amplify intentions, and so many other different reasons, including shadow work, as well as reprogramming. And along with that, we'll be touching on the chakra system quite a bit. We'll be talking about the aura, our electromagnetic field, and then we'll talk about ways that you can use crystals around your home, in your rooms, your office, as well as other environments and landscapes, and ways that we can use crystals in different forms such as orgonite, and help place those around the world in our public spaces to help bring more efficient, effective, and healthy energy to our everyday lives. So with that being said, my name is Marcus. I also go by ChristoLight, and my journey with crystals has probably been about, I want to say 12 years now. 2013 was when I first kind of consciously started interacting with crystals. And with that, I never really shared this story before, but, I went over to this very elderly Native American's house here in Ohio. And I was pretty young at the time. I was probably 18. And he had these crystals, and he was basically sharing with me about like what crystals were and like the spiritual aspects of how they were conscious and living beings. And I remember he had his hand out and he like dumped a couple of the crystals into my hand, and then they kind of like fell out of my palm and hit the ground. And I remember he said that, crystals had feelings, quote unquote. And when he said that, I could like telepathically feel and hear the crystals kind of like making a sound as they hit the ground. And I remembered in that moment, I didn't really think about what that was fully, but I kind of revisited that maybe like a month ago or a few weeks ago. And that was me actually picking up on the telepathic connection I have with crystals and being able to feel like a voice come through from their frequency. So it's really fascinating how my relationship developed over the years with crystals. And I'll share a little bit more in a moment. But along with that, I am a multifaceted practitioner. I practice Reiki, I do light language activations, I also do meditations and help people with basically life coaching, shadow work, patterns, how to have healthy boundaries, communicate well, things of that nature. I'm also a broadcast network producer, and I also run the broadcast network as well. We have content internationally that are streaming live daily in rotation. We make schedules, post on our social medias, and you guys get to watch for free through YouTube as well as Facebook. And Yuuga's actually a part of that as well. And then along with that, I do nationwide retreats, and I do local events in Ohio, and I travel and share these gifts everywhere. So if anybody has questions, just reach out. You guys can find me at the link that's put in the ticker down below, as well as in the description. And I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to our co-host over there, Yuuga, and let him share a little bit about himself.
You need to hear this if you're a spiritual seeker looking for transformation. Imagine 3 days of cosmic alignment where mind, body, and spirit converge in the divine vortex of Sedona. From August 6th to 9th, join us for the Lionsgate 8/8 Retreat, a journey into the heart of healing and self-empowerment. Led by Sacred Kingdom's own ChristoLight Robbins, alongside shamanic energy practitioners Heather Lynn, Rebecca Jones, and Sam, this retreat offers a unique blend of holistic flow shops, nature exploration, and communal connection. Picture yourself diving into various healing modalities, each session designed to peel back layers and reveal your true self. From sunrise yoga to sunset meditations, every moment is crafted to align your mind, body, and emotions. And it's not just about the workshops. Explore the mystical vortexes of Sedona with guided hikes, and enjoy delicious vegetarian and vegan meals, all while camping under the stars. This is more than a retreat. It's a chance to be part of a conscious community, a space where vulnerability is welcomed and transformation is inevitable. Experience the synergy of the Lionsgate energy with Sedona's powerful vortexes. Feel the magic, embrace the journey, and step into a new level of self-awareness. Don't miss out on this cosmic event. Book your spot now by scanning the QR code or text Marcus ChristoLight at 513-238-5580 with any questions. Transform, connect, and unleash your inner lion. Discover the magic of Sedona's Lionsgate 8/8 Retreat. Your journey to self-discovery starts here.
Gemini.
Hi, I'm Yuuga. I've been, interestingly enough, working with crystals since 2013. I didn't realize that, Marcus. But that's really cool that we both started at the same time. Crystals has always been an integral part of my path and my journey, and they've really helped me understand the nature of reality, both in the metaphysical and in the physical sense, and also really helped me understand myself. Crystals were the first thing that really helped me solidify that and understand that spirituality can be a real and physical, tangible thing. And I've been working on different technologies with crystals, working on golden radionics, a line of jewelry that is based off magnetic therapy, the science behind shungite, and just utilizing conductive materials to create a harmonious field for the body. And also working with structured water and the creation of Magna-Violet, my structured water system, and further pioneering the idea that structured water can be a real and beneficial thing for people. And so that's been a passion project of mine for nearly 7 years now. And the understanding and the relationship that I've had with crystals has been life-changing, to say the least. And at this point, I'm not sure what else to say.
Yeah, man. So that is really cool that, the same time period was when we first started consciously interacting with crystals. And, on my journey, I remember I ordered my first set of crystals from Madagascar. Yeah, they came from Madagascar. They were like raw crystals from Madagascar. And I remember I ordered a set from there. And ever since then, I've just been naturally drawn to crystals and collecting them. And 2018, I ended up getting crystal healing certified. So I took a crystal healing program. And I believe like a year before that, maybe, or was it afterwards? Can't exactly recall at the moment, but I remember I was walking at this local park out here in Cincinnati, Ohio, called Sharon Woods. And for everybody out there, I'm also going to be doing events at Sharon Woods that could be local. So I was walking out there and I was hanging out at the waterfall. There's a couple waterfalls down there. And I sat down, I had my oracle cards with me. And one of the cards was called Crystals. And basically that card came out. And I remember this pivotal moment for me of sitting at this waterfall, pulling that card. And then basically that card told me that, you know, I was like a guardian, or I was a voice, and I was like a spreader of, you know, the crystal spirits here. And ever since then, I just had developed this very telepathic relationship with crystals. And I've learned many different things, not from books, not from people, but through telepathic crystal connection. And one of those things was learning about the different ways that we utilize crystal energy through our receiving or giving sides. So learning about how if we're receiving through our left side, there's different properties that we can activate through that crystal, so to say. Whereas we have on the right side where we're giving, it would kind of serve a different type of purpose for those crystals. And that was something I learned through a black tourmaline that I was wearing on a bracelet. And it telepathically communicated with me how to utilize it on the left and the right side and what it would do for me. So what the black tourmaline basically told me was, if I had it on the left side, then I would activate its protective energy, because it would be activating and then receiving. And then the right side would be a way for me to ground, release energy into it, because I would be releasing out of my palm due to the way that the human body circulates. So yeah, that was really interesting when I learned that through the crystal. And then ever since then, I've been consciously utilizing crystals in balance with the way that our aura flows. And it's made a big difference for me, for sure. Have you ever had any interactions like that?
Absolutely. And I'm not sure you're aware, but what you just described is literally what the Chinese medicine and how they teach their philosophy with crystals and how the body interacts with crystals. Did you know that?
Say that one more time.
I said, I'm not sure you're aware, but what you just described is Chinese medicine and their philosophy with how crystals work with the body. I wasn't sure if you're aware of that or not.
No.
Literally, man, that's Chinese medicine.
Yeah, that makes sense, because they base everything off of the meridians, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that you were able to psychically download that information with the crystal and practice in an ancient tradition through your unconscious gifts.
Yep. You know, it's funny too, because I was just going to say, I had this very deep connection to Chinese medicine, and I've wanted to, like, what feels like restudy it in this lifetime. It feels like I already know a lot of it, but I just need to like restudy it to bring it out into this life, so to say.
Yeah. What you may want to look into, and it's something I need to look into more, is what's called stone medicine. It's a little bit different than crystal healing, but stone medicine is basically the Chinese version, the ancient Chinese version of crystal healing.
Stone medicine refers to the use of crystals, gems, and stones in healing practices, particularly within the framework of classical Chinese medicine. It involves utilizing the physical, emotional, and spiritual properties of various stones to address health conditions.
Ooh, okay. Wow.
And they use crystals in a more therapeutic sense, beyond just wearing them and interacting with them energetically.
Ooh, okay. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I barely scratched the surface. It's very hard to find any information because a lot of the teachers kept a lot of the information secret towards the West specifically. So you have to really dig to find that information. But to answer your question, I actually did have a pretty profound experience with what's known as a Himalaya Gold Azestolite wand. And around the time my friend had passed from a very tragic incident that he was involved in, and I was meditating with that crystal as I was back in town to kind of help facilitate his memorial. And as I'm holding the wand on my heart and meditating and letting my emotion pull through, I hear a very distinct, almost soft, childlike voice. It sounded feminine, but I couldn't tell you if it was a boy or a girl. But it said, I can look, I can hear, I can look, I can see, and I can hear. I become what's around that is clear. And that just made all the sense in the world for me, for how crystals grow and they form.
Yep. Ah, man, crystals are amazing.
Yes.
My life really started changing when I didn't just see crystals as objects. Like, it's one thing to see a crystal as like, okay, oh, this is an amethyst. But that's all you like see it as. Like, you just see it as, oh, this is amethyst. But you don't see it as like, the blueprint that's behind it, or the characteristics that it energetically brings into our life. And when I started seeing them as like actual conscious beings, it just like opened up so many different ways of like interdimensionally connecting with them. And I think this will actually be a great way to start talking about what crystals are and what they fundamentally are for people that are tuning into this, that may be wondering, like, what's the science, or like, what's the chemistry, and what's the metaphysics behind what make crystals what they are. And I always like to start with talking about the mental planes. So the Kabbalion talks about how there's multidimensional and parallel planes of existence, and they're all of the mind. They're all mental planes. So within those, you learn about different subplanes, and those subplanes are like the elements and different compounds. You also have what they call the animal mind, or the human mind, and the mineral mind. And within these different mental planes, they say is where the spiritual being exists of the physical beings, so to say. So then in those mental realms, that spiritual energy, it then descends into a more material form. And this is stuff they describe in the Kabbalion, the Hermetic principles, which are the teachings of Thoth the Atlantean. And the reason why I bring this up is because what I was guided to when I made my Crystal Healing 101 course or teaching was that these crystals, they have a spiritual energy behind them that is conscious. And that consciousness basically inhabits these physical vessels that we see as crystals here. Just like how our human bodies basically are vessels for our human spiritual selves. So with that, I was always led to the example of so think of the animal mind and the human mind. And what happens is we're doing this mental exchange or mental alchemy whenever we're interacting with something. And in that mental plane, we mentally experience the spiritual energy of that other being's mental existence. So for example, if we have a dog and we are interacting with our dog, on the mental level, we're spiritually and mentally interacting and exchanging energy. And through that, that's how we experience each other and experience what it's like to have those different blueprints, so to say. So then you think about that with the trees, the water, everything. So that's also the minerals too, and the crystals. So then from there, you can mentally start interacting with their spiritual identity or their spiritual self. So that's why you'll see there's even cartoons that give you this kind of clue that you can do this with crystals. You think of Cartoon Network, you can think of Steven Universe. Steven Universe, he's got amethyst and there's other crystals and things like that. They give away in those shows what crystals are for us. So then the last part I want to share is, everything has a electromagnetic field. So with that being said, these crystals, they have electromagnetic fields. And with that, whatever traits and whatever compounds make up each crystal, then that authentic vibratory field, wherever it's placed, it's going to be exchanging that in its environment. So that's why we place them on our chakras, place them in crystal grids, place them in homes and different places, because we're basically implanting that third dimensional grid system for that higher dimensional energy to come through like a beacon and then enter into this Gaia plane, so to say. Hematite heart, peach selenite crystals, raw rising codes, spirit animal medicine, turtle, elderly spirits, guardian of Mother Gaia, turtle medicine, come into my mind, body, spirit complex. With the turtle medicine, I am releasing and letting go of densities that are taking me out of my peace, tranquility, and harmony within and around. As I breathe this out, I am feeling the deepening connection through my root chakra to the grounding of Mother Gaia, as I feel her nurturing, abundance, and unconditional love flowing into my system. This helps me feel the patience, the integrity, and the value of being steady, present, taking one step at a time, and feeling the gift of the life of love in the present. My heart is expanding and amplifying as I am grounded to earth, and I draw in my downloads. Ashe. So that's just like my brief explanation of like some metaphysics and multidimensional aspects of crystals. And I'll hand it over to Yuuga if Yuuga would like to add anything or just kind of
Absolutely.
build upon it.
Yeah, there's a lot I could add. So I've always been fascinated, even when I was a child and I got to go to field trips and stuff. I always understood that crystals were ancient and they took a very long time to make themselves. And for people that aren't aware, crystals, they start off as a single atom, a single atom, and then they build a crystalline structure and organize themselves based off of the chemical composition. And so different chemicals create different shapes and sizes within their own respective elements. And then you get variations of those same elements, and those create even more in different combinations. And basically, I've always seen that crystals are the children of the earth, and they are the record keepers, because you think of just this point right here as a single atom, and how after it landed itself into a specific spot in the earth, after time, pressure, and heat, it solidified and crystallized based off of what was happening. And basically, it's a living representation of everything and anything that occurred as it passed through that crystalline structure. And that's what's always blown my mind about crystals. There's literally so many stories and so much information within each crystal. And that's the thing that really got me hooked and addicted to getting crystals. It's like getting a new book, talking with a new friend. What secrets does this crystal hold that this other one doesn't? And once you start working with crystals like that, and you're able to tap into their energy field and pull something back out and help you transform yourself and your understanding, man, that's better than drugs. I mean, they say there's crystal, but this is the real crystal. No joke. This is the real crystal, and it will take you way further in life than any other type of substance, even though we're not taking these. You shouldn't be taking them, at least. But knowing that crystals are the children of the earth and the record keepers, as I was saying, it's really just a matter of perception and understanding how well you can receive the information. And one crystal I always recommend someone to get started with would be Lemurian quartz. And working with the striated quartz family, they're just easier to tap into, and they tend to be a little more receptive to anyone, in my experience.
Yeah, that's a very good way to get straight to the point.
Yeah.
Man, it is amazing to think about that and how they really do keep track of everything. And quartz crystal in itself, for everybody that could be new to what crystals are and what quartz crystals is, quartz is a fascinating compound. They say it's like between solid and liquid because of the vibratory field. And then you can basically program it to any intentional energy and it'll amplify it for you. And that's pretty incredible when you really think about that. Imagine if we, as a society, consciously engaged with quartz in that way, and we were utilizing it within so many things that we were doing back in Kemet and other time periods where we had massive quartz crystal generators and all these other different wonderful copper and beautiful tools being used as normal in our society. It's really incredible what can happen and what it allows us to do working with the free energy of the earth. And that's a wonderful conversation that could be had, is the free energy that you're able to generate and utilize with crystals as well, as there are many different orgonite and other technologies through crystals that can help us bring 0 point energy, as well as cleanse, recharge, and so many other things. not just to our environment, but to our actual body and being. And it's very fascinating. And throughout history, you can see that there's been so many different usages for crystals as well, outside of just keeping them as a typical formated compound. You know, you go back to Egypt and other dynasties as well. They would crush crystals and then they would turn it into makeup, and they would utilize it on their faces. They would wear it to help bring spiritual energy. They would also utilize it in many different objects, including drums and tools. I even have a local shamanic drum maker that I know here in Ohio. He utilizes different crushed crystals, including shungite powder, and he'll place it in between where he glues the woods of his drums. So then it brings that metaphysical and spiritual energy of that crystal into the drum power. So there's so many different ways that crystals have been utilized throughout ancient times to now. And today in this time, I feel like we're just only scratching the surface of what we have forgotten about with our crystal ancestors and the way that we can utilize them as a collaboration here. I have a fascinating story as well about Lemurian quartz. So I was, oh man, I was like 18, 19 at the time. This is like the beginning of my spiritual awakening. It's like 2014 maybe. And I end up getting drawn to the emerald tablets, and the full emerald tablets audio, like 2.5 hours long. And I end up having a Lemurian starseed quartz, and I just lay that on my third eye, and I just lay down on the couch and I close my eyes to meditate. And then next thing I know, I meditated through the 2.5 hours straight with that Lemurian on my third eye. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I knew what it was gonna do, but I didn't realize how deeply I was about to be programmed into the universal laws. So it's really amazing what we can do with crystals. And it's a very intuitive relationship, I want to say. It's something that is very subtle when it comes to being able to really hear and feel the guidance, for me at least. But wow, it's a very powerful subtlety to tap into, because they have a lot of wisdom. And if they can guide us and we allow that guidance, I've had headaches relieved from selenite. I've had selenite help repair my sprained MCL. There's been so many things with crystals. What about moldavite? How do you feel about moldavite?
Oh, I love moldavite. It's just too expensive. That's why I work with Libyan Desert Class.
Yeah. Moldavite's pretty fascinating. You hear those stories about people that can't even wear it because how much it pulls their frequency.
When I first got my moldavite a long time ago, back in 2013, I actually had established psychic contact with some type of ET race at the time, and the information and experiences that I had shortly after I had gotten the moldavite was really intense. I mean, the moldavite I had was like literally like that big. It was just a tiny little speck, but I felt so much energy coming off of it back then, and it really took me to the next level.
Hmm. It's funny you say that because the first time I had Moldavite, this was around that same time period. I had such a I don't know, I supernovaed during that 2013 to 15 period.
Big
Like
same.
everything just came in at once for me. But I had this Moldavite ring, my first one ever, and it was so clean too. It was like clean, square cut. Like I had never really seen a Moldavite that clean before. And I was actually tripping on LSD. Yeah, for fun fact for everybody, I used to do a lot of psychedelics. I used to sell psychedelics as well. But I was on a couple of hits of LSD and I had this ring on. So my vibratory field was way open. And I was sitting on the couch. I was just chilling. Next thing I know, I feel the ring starting to pull my finger up towards the sky. And it's just pulling my finger up. And I'm just like, whoa. So I tap in and just allow it. You know, I just get into stillness and let it happen. And I could literally feel this like extraterrestrial connection that was literally like connecting to the ring, trying to communicate with me. Then I had a second time with this ring. Different time this happened. I was at my house and I wasn't at my friend's this time. And I think I was actually on LSD again that night. And I felt the ring drawing me to go outside and walk out my front door. So I open my front door and I stand out on my porch, and it's nighttime, so like you can see the stars and everything. And then the ring starts pulling my finger and it directs me to look directly kind of maybe like 75 degrees or so up towards the sky. And I look over there and I see this like super bright shining star, like maybe planet, who knows. And that was where I was being drawn by the Moldavite ring to connect with. It was really fascinating. So yeah, Moldavite, it definitely brings that extraterrestrial vibe.
Yeah, it really does.
That's for sure. So I think it'd be good to talk about, you know, some good beneficial ways to consciously utilize crystals in our everyday lives for everybody out there. So a couple of ways that I could mention is, number one, you can use them in different places around your home. So a couple examples is if you want to place protection barrier around your home setting, you could use different stones such as the black stones like obsidian, onyx, black tourmaline, shungite, jet, and there's some other stones out there as well. But you can place those. So you want to think of things maybe like, you know, Nikola Tesla says, you want to think of things in the universe as energy and vibration. So if you think of everything as a vibratory field with energy points and then the connections that form through those points, that's how crystal grids work, kind of, and where you're placing them. So if you place them in every corner of your home, then you're going to build a multi-corner pointed energy field with those crystals. So when you place them each corner and they're protection stones, they're then going to create a barrier that connects, and then you'll create a field for yourself. Along with that, you can place them around the doorways, the windowsills. You can place them underneath your bed, next to your bed. Some other ways is you can use, the more positive attributes of manifestation, as well as vitality, as well as unconditional love. And you can place those around on your bedside and places in rooms that you feel like that kind of energy could use a more beneficial amplification. Some other ways is you can use them on your chakras or on different meridian points of your body to help activate certain energies to complement those centers or those meridians of your body as well. And you can find different body grids. You place the crystals on certain meridians, they'll connect together, and then it can kind of ignite a certain pathway of energy for you, and it'll move through your system. It's really fascinating. So like you can make grounding grids where you have a bunch of grounding stones, place one on your root chakra, your hips, on your knees, by the soles of your feet, and then consciously interact with that, breathe, ground your energy, and then those stones will complement that. So I would just really recommend for everybody out there to just research your stones and look into what their properties are for each individual one. So then you can see how you can use that consciously and place it and utilize it in the kind of setting that it can optimize its purpose for. And I'll just hand it over to you to add anything to that.
Yeah, so the most impactful and the most, how do I say it? So the most impactful and the most, really losing the word. I'll just say impactful for now. The most impactful form of practice that I've had with crystals and my use of crystal healing is to do full body chakra meditations, as you kind of touched upon. But what I did back then, when I first started getting involved with meditation in my spiritual journey, is I'd get crystals that correspond with every chakra, just 7. That's all I wanted to work with at the time. And then eventually I got more and more involved with my full body meditations. But one thing I would do is lay in the skeletal position where you're just laying flat on your back, kind of like that. And then you place like the amethyst at your crown, and just every crystal for every colored chakra. And going into that and making a regular routine of that practice, I've had so many insights and experiences, being able to tap in with my own innate power and really developing my psychic gifts and abilities and really elevating my own vibration. That is the one practice I will say that really was able to solidify the spiritual experiences for me. And I will always go back to that when I'm feeling at my lowest, is just the full body crystal meditations. And another thing that you can do that's pretty beneficial is kind of like with the full chakra crystal meditation, get color coordinated crystals for your chakras and then lay them underneath your bed and sleep on that. A long time ago, I did that, and I had a family member that would occasionally lay on my bed, and he couldn't physically feel them underneath the bed, but he felt like he could energetically connect to the crystals, and he wasn't really spiritual at all. And he felt like he was just being given a gentle, glowing massage of love throughout his body. And that's one thing he shared with me, and I was really surprised. I was like, really? You're experiencing that? I didn't think you were aware of that stuff. And then that's the one thing that always stuck in my mind. And if you really want to work with crystals on a physical level, working with the radionics bracelets has really helped me fine-tune my own senses and my abilities. Yes, they do have healing benefits, but overall, honestly, working with crystals in any capacity will help you to become more aware of fine-tuned, subtle, subatomic energy. And I've learned so much about how to manipulate my own energy by pushing and pulling energy through crystals. And they are really one of the best teachers you can put into your field and within your circle. There's really not much you can lose at the end of the day. If you buy one, you have a pretty rock at the end of the day. And if you know how to work with it, then you have a great friend and a record keeper of sorts that will influence your journey if you allow it. And I've allowed quite a bit to happen, and I've been given so much in return. I've literally won over thousands of dollars worth of gems and minerals for free in giveaways here on Instagram. And it just baffles my mind, because these aren't just ones you get at crystal shops. These are ones that you have to go to specific sellers for to get that type of quality. And it's just, for me, that is the greatest joy I could receive from the universe. And just to know that all I have to do is be myself and keep persevering, that makes me feel so much comfort, because the crystals do understand.
It's so nice to have just have another passionate soul to share this space with, that feels that real connection with crystals. It's a very beautiful thing, I tell you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of us are so naturally drawn to crystals, especially as a kid, but we just maybe don't have that conscious awareness of why. So that's really what we're here for, making this podcast for you guys, is to help you understand the why, or how, and like what is possible with these crystals, because there's so many layers of depth that we can interact with and utilize to actually bring a more optimal and beneficial everyday life, not just in a general standpoint, but in a micro level. And when I say micro level, I mean, we talked about chakras and meridians, but what we're going to be diving into throughout this series is, what are the chakras and what does it actually mean in the micro details of using crystals with the chakras. So for example, we'll be covering, like what the root chakra is. Root chakra, that's your stability, your connection to the earth abundance. It's your ability to not have any fear in your system. It's your ability to have inner peace, to feel the harmony of life and your physicality, things of that nature. So then there's going to be crystals and stones that can help with that. You got black tourmaline, obsidian, red jasper, things of that nature. And then you'll learn kind of like what traits and what makes up those crystals to be able to help that. So we'll be talking about how to help bring balance to mental health, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, and so many other wonderful ways that you guys can utilize these crystals on not just a fun and creative level, but also on a holistic, sacred, and if you want to call it shamanic level as well. So it's gonna be a fascinating journey. So let's see. We've covered what they basically are, some ways that we can utilize them. Is there... Oh yeah, let's talk about ways to properly care for crystals for
that's
the
important.
beginners in their crystal journey. Or you don't have to be a beginner. This is just good knowledge to have. I'll let you start off if you would like with properly caring for crystals.
Yes. Okay, so talking about having crystals is one thing, but it's important to maintain them and make sure that they're securely make sure they are secure and cared for, is what I'm trying to say. And not just energetically, but also physically. Have dedicated spaces for your stones and crystals, and make sure they're not getting chipped and tossed around. I've had a lot of pieces damaged, and it just breaks my heart that I wasn't able to do better for them Sometimes it was my fault. Sometimes it was just my living situation. And knowing that they'll never be able to regrow themselves it hurts me. So just keep in mind that they are very physical and they can be damaged. So energetically speaking, though, one thing that keep the energy in your crystals fresh and ready for use is to sun charge your crystals, but not for too long. Certain crystals, especially the colored ones, will lose their color in sunlight. So if you have fluorite or amethyst, those will lighten up in direct sunlight. So I wouldn't recommend anything over an hour or two, especially depending on the intensity of the sun or what time of day the sun is. And then some people like to say to use salt, and salt does have cleansing properties, but salt also pulls out the hydration of the crystals. So don't put your crystals in salt. I would say if you want to wash it in salt water, just rinse it with the salt water. Don't soak it for too long. And having other stones like shungite or having selenite for one, or kyanite, having those three crystals will have around your other crystals will also energetically keep them fresh and cleansed, as those three crystals are self-cleansing and they don't really hold negative energy like some other stones do. Like fluorite, for instance. Fluorite is a very good accumulator of negative energy. It's really good at organizing information and taking that information back out and putting it back into the energy field and creating a more harmonious thing. But like I said, the fluorite will need to be maintained regularly if you're using it that way. And at this point, I'll let you intervene, Marcus.
Sounds good. Yeah. Those are wonderful examples. Just some things to add to that for anybody's list that could be building a list or taking note is, so I do want to mention this too before I continue forward, is just use your research tools if you need to kind of research the individual crystal, because I know things like selenite, if you have selenite in water, that could severely damage the selenite. So there's certain crystals where you don't want to have them like drowning in water because it could be too soft and that'll break apart the brittleness of that crystal. And then for some, you don't want the sunlight, kind of like what Yuuga was saying. I've also heard of the bowl of rice theory. You can use the bowl of rice to collect the charged energy off of it.
Never heard that one, but that's interesting.
Yeah. Yep, because rice basically just absorbs. So it absorbs the energy out of it.
Okay.
And then Reiki energy.
Yeah, Reiki energy, rinsing it under regular water. That works great as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or especially spring water, if you're by a creek or a river or the ocean. Yeah. Try to avoid the salt as much as possible, but on occasion it will be okay. But water is really good for cleansing stones.
Yeah, I was about to say river water. Like if you're at a waterfall, river water, just kind of putting your hands in there, just moving around a little bit. That's a really good charge. I found the crystals really love that because it's super natural.
Magnets. Magnets work really good for charging certain stones. If it's magnetic, it will react more to it. And you'd be surprised what crystals aren't metal but still react with magnets. But if you can get some magnets and place them around your stones, even if they're not the super strong kind, they do interact with the crystals, and you will feel a difference.
Yeah, that magnetism. Oh yeah, and of course, smudging. You can use sage, Palo Santo. That can always clear up any energy field. So that goes for crystals as well. Yeah, I think those are some good ways that you can utilize them. And
sound bowls.
Yeah, sound bowls. Yep.
Or singing bowls, sorry.
Anything sound that can help bring like an attunement to the vibratory and energy field. So you can even play some frequencies. That would probably help as well. But there's all sorts of things out there for you guys.
And then just something anyone and everyone can do that works as well. Getting a stone, not necessarily programming it, but just holding it over your heart space. and just having the intention of it being cleansed and cleared. That's a good practice, and that's a good way to start working with crystal energy yourself and with your body.
Yeah,
But that does work.
that's a great example, because that also ignites your own inner power. So you're
It does.
like, you're showing that you're the self-sustainer that can draw in and charge without needing something else.
It's
So
a whole
yeah,
nother topic for a whole nother video, but we are liquid crystals. I know you know this. We are
yeah,
liquid crystals, and we can interact
CIA.
with the actual crystals. So tune in for that when we get to that topic.
Oh yeah, there's CIA documents that are public now that talk about being plasma, basically quartz crystals. Like our body is like a quartz crystal, basically.
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you learn about the aura, the electromagnetic field, how we absorb energy and information, and then our current, and how our Merkaba works, our light
How we
body.
have magnetite crystals in our brain, and
Yeah,
magnetite is super, super magnetic.
crystalline compounds in our blood, in our organs, in our chemicals. I mean, they've been trying to get us to think we're just carbon-based beings, but you know, there's some things we'll be talking about.
It's a rabbit hole we'll get to, and we're going to go down it.
Oh man. So is there anything else that you feel called to sharing about just the basics of consciously connecting with crystals?
Yeah. And I was trying to say it earlier, but I got kind of sidetracked since I had to re-say some of the stuff because of the audio problems. But for anyone that has a crystal or wants to get their first crystal, and honestly, if you can get your first crystal and find it again, then I recommend doing it. But this is the first crystal I had on my journey. I was drawn to it. I couldn't tell you why. It's a selenite egg. I got it at a local crystal shop not too far from here. And I didn't do much with it. I just placed it by my bed at first, and then a friend told me, try meditating with it. And once I started doing that, holding it and meditating with it, then everything started really happening for me. So it's one thing to have it near you, it's one thing to hold it. And once I got to the point of desperation and seeking truth and finding answers, I couldn't trust anyone or anything. What I could trust was what was right in front of me. And I grabbed this crystal right here, held it in my left hand, and I asked it sincerely and honestly, what do you know? What have I known? And I put myself in a state of remembrance, kind of like self-hypnosis, but I was genuinely asking because I knew something and I had forgotten it. But I also knew that this thing that's way older than I am, we can't really calculate, but we know it's very, very old. I knew it had answers and it had knowledge that could be applied to my own life. And just doing that little practice, I figured out how to make structured water with crystals. So needless to say, the possibilities are endless.
Yup. And I can't wait for that episode when we talk about structured water and shungite water. Because that's something that me and you both have had a passion for.
Yeah.
And I still to this day just really want to get people in the groove of at least one at-home shungite water system in every house. Like, what's holding us back, honestly? When you think about every benefit it brings for the price that you'd have to pay,
Yeah.
for it to be a everlasting kind of thing, I mean, we eliminate plastic buying. We eliminate buying from unknown sources that are adding things to the water. We are eliminating paying more out of our pocket for water. Like, we shouldn't have to be
Water can be
getting,
expensive.
we shouldn't have to be getting like capitalized on for water, and like it's something that we literally need to survive. So for me, it's really empowerment and it's self-sustainability when we introduce these at-home water systems like shungite water.
I do have to say real quick, my phone's getting really low on battery. I'm at 6%.
Okay, that's cool. I think this was really, the wrap-up point anyway.
Okay, I just want to let you know in case I disappear.
Sweet. Well, yeah, we can go ahead and close it out so it's nice and closed out. So, with that being said, before we close out this space, where can everybody find you at, brother, and what can they connect with you for?
So I have my link tree, but all my only handles are the same for the most part. Voice of the Dragons. If you're curious about my structured water research, I have on my profile in my bio for Instagram. Magna-Violet for structured water, and that's specifically dedicated for the structured water research. Pretty much all the time, if you're looking for custom-made jewelry, radionics, tarot.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I also have my water system. So if you're wanting to buy a water system, we can work out the details. Go from there.
Sounds good, brother. I really appreciate you joining and co-hosting this wonderful journey with me. And for everybody out there, I'm Marcus ChristoLight. I'm the founder of Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. You can tap in with the broadcast network streaming daily on my YouTube channel, Sacred Light Broadcast Network, as well on Facebook, ChristoLight Robbins. And along with that, you can also book one-on-one services. I have Reishi coffee available, and then retreat signups you can find at my link in the description or down below in the ticker. And just reach out if you have any questions for either one of us, and we'll gladly help you and bring some wisdom and knowledge to your life. Everybody, have a blessed and beautiful day. Wholeness and balanced love.